Now look, let's talk rugby. He helped Japan make the knockout phase of the Rugby World Cup for the first time ever, and he's been in the conversation around the next All Blacks coaching setup. But last night on Breakdown with our dear friend Jeff Wilson and his bunch of merry, I was going to say men, but it's also men and women. Shouldn't be sexist. Yes. I apologise. Tony Brown told them he's a Jamie Joseph man, and wherever he goes, Tony will follow him, as long as it's not Australia. Tony Brown joins us now. Tony, thank you so much for joining us. First of all, what's so bad about Australia?
No, it's not so bad. I enjoy going Aussie for sure. Great place.
Yeah, it's a wonderful place, wonderful place. But look, let's cut straight to the chase. There's been a lot said about Ian Foster and Scott Robertson wanting you as part of their coaching team. What did they say to you in their approaches?
No, initially when they asked me, obviously overwhelmed and very privileged to be asked. And All Blacks is obviously a dream of any coach or player. So initially just straight in there, yeah, I'm in. But obviously after the World Cup and a little bit of time to think, just didn't quite feel right for me to sort of be floating around 2 different coaching teams and potentially 3 with Jamie, who I love coaching with. And so then the decision became pretty easy in the end, and just wanted to stick with Jamie and continue what we've been doing around our development as coaches since we started together at the Highlanders.
So ultimately, when you make a decision, whether it's Jamie, whether it's Razor or Ian Foster, it's the experience you've had with Jamie. It's not so much about what you don't like about the other 2.
Oh no, basically Razor and Fozzie are, probably the leading contenders, both outstanding coaches. I just see my future sort of enjoying the game with Jamie more so than the other guys.
Yeah. Why do you think they're leading contenders over Jamie?
Oh, I don't. They just get talked about more. Fozzie was obviously with the current All Black coaching team, so the succession plan has obviously been big in New Zealand rugby in the past. And Razor's been so successful with the Crusaders and done a fantastic job there. Quality coaches, and it's going to be a tough job for the New Zealand Rugby Union.
You say it would be a dream to be part of the All Blacks coaching squad. How much would it mean to you then to be part of it?
Yeah, that's right. I think every New Zealand rugby player wants to be part of the All Blacks. It's obviously the best team in the world, I believe, anyway. And they always have quality rugby players. They've got a 90% win record. And sometimes if you get a team like that, it's a pretty amazing run you can go on.
You've had obviously conversations with Razor and Fozzie and Jamie, but has anybody from New Zealand Rugby been on the phone and said, hey Tony, we are interested, so don't go anywhere?
Oh, no, not really. They tend to stick to the head coaches, assistant coaches, just stay under the radar.
Oh, right, they're down the pecking order, eh? Righto, I believe that.
This decision's supposed to be being made before Christmas. Between now and then, what are you going to be looking at? What are you considering?
Me personally, not much. I'll have a coffee with Jamie and see what he wants to do. And I'm going to jump in with the Highlanders pretty soon. And we've got pre-season coming up, so it's going to be a lot of hard work leading into Christmas. So whatever happens at the top with the All Black coach, we'll just wait and see. And yeah, that's about it.
What do you think your chances are then of being part of the All Blacks?
I'm not sure. So obviously Jamie's the guy that's going to have to make the call whether he goes for the job. If he does, then I'm sure he'll have a good chance, just as much as Fozzie and Razor.
What is it about Jamie Joseph that makes him such a good head coach?
I just think he's really great with the leadership of the players. He's really good around accountability of a number of things. And yes, he's tough, but I think the players respect that. And he, over the 8 years that I've been coaching with him, he's developed some amazing leaders, and he's developed some pretty good rugby teams over that time.
we joked around a few moments ago about Australia, but if Jamie said, look, the vacancy at the Wallabies is too good to turn down, would you follow him?
Oh, I don't think he'd say that though.
Just not on his radar.
Don't think so.
Okay.
How much money would it take, maybe?
Yeah.
Sonnyville Williams got 12 million to go to Toronto.
Yeah, I bet he wasn't thinking about Toronto as a destination for the next 2 years until that money popped up.
Yeah.
Yeah, they might need a coach too, do they?
Yeah, possibly.
Not a bad spot, Toronto.
You talked about before about if someone gets involved with an All Black squad, there's a chance to go on a really good run. But what do you foresee as some of the challenges that whoever it might be faces in the next few years with the All Black squad?
Probably the same thing. So the All Blacks tend to win more than they lose. You know, so the record and the history of the All Blacks is massive. And every coach that goes in there is under real pressure to win every game, and you know, that's always the challenge. And every rugby team is coming for the All Blacks, whether it be Tonga, Samoa, or the Wallabies or South Africa. They all play their best against the All Blacks, and they all want to beat the All Blacks because they're perceived as being the best team in the world. And as a coach, you know, there's no hiding from that, and you've got to win every game.
Now, you've had a lot of history with Jamie Joseph, obviously, and Scott McCloud as well, who's part of the All Black setup currently. Where does this leave somebody like Scott McCloud, Ian Foster, if yourself and Jamie were appointed as the All Blacks coaching staff? Yeah,
not sure. That's a tough one. I know that we've coached with Scott before, and you know, he'd definitely fit into our coaching team because, you know, we're good mates, and you know, he does a good job and has done a good job for the All Blacks since he's been in there. So I'm sure he'll be fine coaching wise, and you know, never know what happens in the future.
Look, away from the All Blacks, you've just recently completed a history-making run for Japan at the Rugby World Cup. What on earth was that like?
Yeah, it was a pretty amazing ride. You know, obviously we'd planned to try and make the top 8. And that had sort of been the goal since we started 4 years ago, or three and a half years ago. So it was everything got put in place back then, and there's been a lot of hard work in between times. And you know, we've had to coach the Sunwolves and in Japan as well. So getting our players ready to take on some of the best teams in the world took a long time to get them ready.
Yeah.
But then when we obviously got into the World Cup and the players were fully committed to taking on that challenge, it was a hell of a ride, and the players played out of their skin, and the country got right in behind the Japan team, which made it extra special. You know, there was 3,000 or 4,000 people outside our hotel when we're leaving for games and coming back from games.
Have you seen the like of it in your coaching career before?
No, it was pretty special, right? It was sort of like being on tour with the Beatles, I think. But I think it just gave our team and our players, you know, the extra energy and motivation to do well, and yeah, they played out of their skins, and it was pretty memorable.
Mm. What happens next for Japanese rugby? Because you want to back off of this success, don't you? How do they get better opposition more regularly?
Yeah, it's you know, it's going to be a big few weeks or months for Japan rugby to see how they can, you know, go from here and try and make it something that's going to help Japan rugby in the future, and getting into the rugby championship or getting more tier 1 games is the only way they're going to get better as a rugby nation. And you know, so they've got some big decisions to make, and hopefully they can get World Rugby and Sanzar on board and hopefully get into one of those competitions.
Mm.
It must be quite nice to think that you've really gone over there and made a difference with this Japanese team. You know, how proud are you of your own efforts there?
Yeah, I'm very proud. I love Japan rugby. I spent a lot of time there as a player. A lot of the guys in the team I played with and against. My good mate Fumiaki Tanaka. It's good to have him in the team, and Luke Thompson as a 38-year-old. We actually played for the same club when I arrived in Japan in 2004. So, you know, a lot of friends in the team, and it was, you know, it's great to see them achieve something that was never done before in Japan rugby. And you know, and as a rugby player, you just try and commit to a goal, and you want to achieve a goal, and when you do achieve it, it's pretty special.
Well done, Tony, on your success with Japan, and good luck for whatever happens next. We know it won't be with the Wallabies in Australia, whether it's in Japan or here in New Zealand with the All Blacks. All the very best, mate, and thanks for coming into Sky Sport News.
Pleasure.
Just shuffle over, because we're going to bring in Jeff McTainch. He's actually one of your biggest supporters. He's a Highlanders man through and through.
I like the mo
Jeff,
too.
Tony,
Thanks,
Jeff.
mate. 6 days in, so wait for a month and
6
we'll see how we
days.
go. Congrats on what you achieved in Japan. It's obviously fantastic. I followed your career at Otago and the Highlanders. As a pair with Jamie Joseph in coaching, what do you think it is that kind of makes you guys so successful as a team, do you think?
I think we just understand the game the same. We obviously played together for a year when I first started and Jamie was finishing up. And he's uncompromising around how he coaches. And I think, me as a coach, I think I need someone to be able to do that as well. I'm a bit more around
Rein you in.
trying to get the players on board and, trying to create the plans in the game that's going to win a test match. And Jamie creates the mentality and the physicality that's going to win a test match. So it's a good combination, and love coaching with him, and we both see the game the same and we both think the same.